Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. This is another block from the Stitch Pink 2020 quilt from Moda. It's called Something Special, finishes at 12 inches, and it's a pretty basket. Here's the diagram, and I just put 4 blocks together so you can see how they look. There will be a link here to Moda's pattern for this. This one, it looks very simple, but it can be confusing as you're cutting it, trying to see what you're actually cutting. So I hope to demystify that for you. Here are the patches, and I won't go over the cutting because it's self-explanatory actually. These are the cutting diagrams and the AccuQuilt dies that you can use for the shapes. And over here I have the 3 different fabrics and the cutting instructions for each different fabric. The most confusing part is this patch B, which is the half square triangles. As you see, there's a lot of half square triangles. This set here, there are 4 of the dark in the background and 4 of the dark in the background, and then there are 2 more over here. These 8, we're going to be piecing 8 at a time half square triangles. So that means we have a big piece of fabric for the background and a big piece for the dark fabric, and we'll make our 8 half square triangles out of that. Now that's these 8 here. The other 2 we're going to make of the background and the dark go right here. They're on the basket base. So we're going to make these 2 at a time half square triangles. These we have cut 3 inches. It's a little bit bigger, so we can trim them down, and this will make our 2 half square triangles for the basket base. Now if we look at the other half square triangles, the tan and the dark brown, there are 6 of these here. So we're going to make these 2 at a time half square triangles. And these are cut the same size as the background and the dark. So we have 6 of those. We need 3 of the dark fabrics and 3 of the tan or medium fabrics. This will make our 6 half square triangles when we do them 2 at a time. Okay, so we'll put that to the side. And then the last thing we have left of the 3-inch cut pieces are these 2 dark pieces. These will be cut into just patches, triangle patches, and there will be 4 of them, and they go right here. They fill in this spot here to make this an angle. Then we have a big background triangle here, and we have 2 squares over here and 2 rectangles over here. In the cutting instructions, you'll see it gives you the size, and it gives you the size if you want to make it larger. And this is for 8 at a time half square triangles, and it says use with the dark fabric. So you'll have the same thing down here in the dark fabric. And this says use with the background fabric. So if you get confused, just put those together and check them off as you work with them. So here are all the pieces that we've just gone through. These will all be half square triangles 2 at a time. These will be cut in half on both of them, and we'll have our 4 patches. And these will be used for the half square triangles 8 at a time. So let's do our half square triangles first. Coming up is a short tutorial on how to make these half square triangles 8 at a time. We'll take the light fabric, and on the back we're going to draw some lines. First we're going to draw diagonal lines across the diagonal, and both of them, that's 2 lines. The next line will be a vertical line down the middle and a horizontal line down the middle. Take these fabrics and put them right sides together, match up all the sides. We're going to stitch a 1/4 inch on each side of the diagonal lines. So you'll have 2 lines of stitching here, you turn it, and then you'll have 2 lines of stitching here. We've done our stitching on both sides of each diagonal line. Here's what it looks like from the back. Now we're going to cut every line that we drew. So it's 4 different lines, and we'll cut each line. Now we open them up and we have our half square triangle. Going to press these open and then trim them. The 2 at a time half square triangles are similar to the 8 at a time. We take our square and on the back of the light fabric we draw a diagonal line, and then we stitch a scant 1/4 inch on each side of the diagonal line. And then we just cut on the diagonal line. And we have our half square triangle that we will trim down. All of the half square triangles will need to be trimmed down to 2.5 inches. We put the diagonal line on the ruler along the seam line of the half square triangle. And we're checking all the sides. So this side has enough fabric I can cut off. I can cut off here, and here's the 2.5 mark, and I can cut some off there and some off here. So I'm going to cut these top 2 right now. And flip this over and just line up your 2.5 inch mark now and your diagonal line, and then trim the rest. Just a slight small amount that you're going to trim off, and do that to all of your half square triangles. Now in steps 2 and 3 and 4, we're going to just start sewing half square triangles and other pieces together. So step 2, we're going to sew 4 half square triangles, make 2 sets of the 4 half square triangles. Look at the diagram and lay them out exactly as the diagram shows. So here I have one, and then the other is going to go like this. And I'll stitch these together and these together, then press the seams. And for step 2, we're going to piece the little side pieces. So we lay these 2 out. And then this little piece goes here. So we'll sew all these right now and press the seams and come back. Next we're going to step 4, and we're going to piece the main part of this block. We're first going to piece this big giant half square triangle, then sew it onto the background half square triangle. I'm just looking at the diagram and laying the pieces out like that. So we put 3 of these down, and then 2 go across, and is this right? Yes, and this goes like that. Then these triangle patches that we cut, we fill them in here and here. We'll sew these in rows like this. Flip this over and match this edge and this edge. Then stitch your 1/4 inch here, and then stitch the rest of this row together, and do the same thing for this and the same thing for this, and press your seams. When these are done, you're going to cut off this little extra here because those triangles we cut larger. Then piece these together, and you'll want to match these points as best as you can. Just flip it over, match the points, and stitch a 1/4 inch. Now we have this pieced half square triangle, and we have this half square triangle we cut. We know that these are cut the right size, the half square triangles we made, and then we trimmed them down to 2.5 inches. So these are the correct size. These triangles here are slightly larger because we cut them that way. And we cut this large piece the exact size. So we're going to line up this piece with the edges here because we know those are the correct size. Now it's probably not going to fit exactly, but get it as close as you can. And then we're going to trim this off. Trim this piece off here, this brown part. Now we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch. Now this is stitched. I found it easier to press toward the light fabric than try to open up all of these bulky seams. Now this should measure 8.5 inches. This is my 12.5 inch ruler. I'm lining up the diagonal line and looking for my 8.5, and there it is there. So I need to move it up some. And it's really close. So I'm just going to cut off the nubs and leave it. Okay, now we can continue to put this block together. We'll put it together like this. This goes here. This. Now what I would do is stitch this to this, and these two together, and then stitch this here. So just whatever makes sense. Okay, now I've done this. I found it easier to press toward the light fabric. All this bulkiness just went easier this way. Now I'm going to stitch this down here and this down here, and the block will be finished. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos.